Hey everybody, thanks for checking in and welcome to Ditch the Diet. I'm going to keep this brief, but I do want to let you guys catch up on what you missed this morning from not being at Bruja. We talked for about an hour, we had a lot of fun, and we talked about diets and why they work and why they don't work and why some people are successful and why most people aren't. So thanks for checking this out. We'll keep it brief and you'll have a lot of good information in not too much time here. Okay, so our first slide here says 100 diets in just minutes. Um, that seems impossible, right? Because when we go to the grocery store in January, we see keto and we see flat belly and we see South Beach. Sometimes you might still see Atkins or Slim Fast or Weight Watchers or Paleo. And how in the world are you supposed to know what they do and which one's best? And, that's, I think, what marketing does for us. It makes us excited, but it also confuses the life out of us. So if you are really confused, you're certainly not alone. And, you could go down the street and you could talk to your neighbor and say, hey, what have you been doing? You look great. But what works for your neighbor may not work for you. But the big hint I have for you here is that they're really not that different when you get down to it. Those diets are all made up of this same essential idea and just a little bit of reorganization. So the good news is there is a way that your body wants to eat. The bad news is that it's probably not coming from a box and it may not be the same thing that worked for you last year. So we're going to look at all of these different diets and figure out which diet actually is best for you. All right. So the first thing we want to look at that's essential for a diet is the macronutrient. Macronutrients are made up of proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Those are the big three. Those are the three that actually supply us with the calories we need to be able to function during a day. A calorie is definitely not a dirty word. We have to eat those. We just need to make sure that we're making good choices on what foods are supplying us with those calories. Macronutrients ensure the health and the growth of our bodies by supplying us energy, by maintaining tissues, and by regulating body processes. If we don't have our macronutrients, we aren't going to get very far. They're what give us the energy to get up out of bed and help us think and help our bodies grow and function. Don't skip those. And that is going to be the key component of all of those different diets out there are the macronutrients. Next, we have micronutrients. Micronutrients are the ones that people like to focus on these because they are easy. We can get them in a pill form. Water. Okay, not in a pill, but in a bottle. Vitamins and minerals, though. Micronutrients are also important, but it's important also to note that they don't contain calories, which is why people can take vitamins and get those vitamins and minerals that they need without the calorie content. However, what micronutrients do for us is they convert calorie containing carbs, fats, and proteins into the energy that our bodies use. These micronutrients are essential. However, they do not contain calories. And a lot of times we might take those supplements, but really if you're eating the right foods, those supplements, unless you are deficient in something, aren't usually necessary. A simple blood test by your doctor would tell you if you are deficient and if you need to take those extra supplements. But by eating a healthy diet, you should get most of those essential micronutrients in the foods that you eat every day. Let's take a look at carbohydrates. Carbohydrates in themselves are not bad. They definitely get a bad rap when we talk about dieting right now or losing weight, but carbohydrates are there to give you energy, and that energy comes from sugar. So there's differences here, right? We can talk about a bowl of white sugar or brownies or ice cream or any of those things that have sugar, but we could also talk about complex carbohydrates, which would be a potato or whole wheat bread, certain grains, whole grains that have carbohydrates in them. So you can have sweet carbohydrates, which are the simple carbohydrates. Fructose is sugar that comes from fruit. Glucose and galactose. Galactose comes from milk. The complex carbohydrates, which I just talked about, which are the savory and the starchy carbohydrates. And then fiber, and fiber is not digested. It doesn't have calories, and it's your food bulldozer. So when we talk about the apple a day, and the apple a day keeps the doctor away, obviously apples aren't magic, but they do contain a lot of fiber that pushes the food through your digestive system that keeps you cleared out. Another thing is that carbohydrates are really necessary for your brain, kidneys, muscles, and heart to function well. If you have been on a low carb diet before where your brain is just foggy, you can't think, part of that is that your brain really needs carbohydrates to function. So cutting out all carbs is not going to help your body perform at its best. So carbohydrates get a bad rap, but they are not bad. Next, we're going to talk about fats. We said that carbohydrates aren't bad in the last slide. In this one, we're going to talk about fats. Fats don't make you fats. They are necessary for maintaining and protecting your cells. Fats also help you absorb certain fat-soluble vitamins. A big one is vitamin D. Vitamin D is that sunshine vitamin. A lot of us in Indiana and any place that's not right down in those sunshine states, we're deficient, a lot of us, in vitamin D. Again, you can have all of those micronutrients tested. You know, what kind of micronutrients do you need to eat? If you need a supplement, your doctor can do that. But you can't absorb vitamin D without fat. So whether you're getting that from avocado or nuts or oils, salmon, coconut oil, those different things all have healthy fats in them. Fats also help to cushion your organs. I think sometimes we hear cushion and we think a big squishy, a big squishy cushion. And maybe if you're dieting, you don't want to picture squish, but you definitely want your organs cushioned. You don't want them bouncing around inside your body. That's what I picture anyway. They're also a high density energy source. What they do is they're a slow burn. So they have a higher calorie content per gram than a carbohydrate. So they can offer you more calories to burn with less mass. Fats also are what make your food delicious and tell your brain that you are full and happy. If you've ever eaten a meal and you plow through your meal and 2 hours later you think, I'm hungry, I don't even know if I even ate lunch, or what did I eat? That could be because you didn't have the necessary fats that you needed for your brain to feel satiated and for your body to say, that was really good, I really enjoyed my food, and now I'm content. Fats offer that. They keep your brain happy. So when we talk about comfort foods, a lot of times those are a combination of fat and carbohydrates because of the sugar and the fat combination that gives your body this almost like a drug reaction. I recently saw something, probably on Twitter, that it was the 5 most addictive substances, and it was things like heroin and nicotine and alcohol and all these different things. And I just wondered why on that list they didn't include sugar. So fats have a way of telling our body that we're full and we're happy, and they're not always bad. You need them. They're a very important macronutrient. And finally, we're going to talk about proteins. Proteins are what make you what you are. They define what an organism is. Our proteins are not the same as a dog's protein, and they're not the same as the person next to us even. So they create and repair our cells and our tissues. They aid in digestion, immunity, and building the body's muscles and cells. If you are going to diet, if you are going to exercise, if you are going to breathe and think, your body needs to repair itself. Think about when you, I burnt my hand on the stove on Christmas Eve. It's almost all healed up. Thanks, protein. We need it so that it can do that. Okay, proteins help us heal. They help us to grow. Proteins are important as well. And I think we are, or it feels to me that we're at a stage where we're recognizing the importance of protein ever since the Atkins diet came out, and all of a sudden people are like bacon crazy, which Obviously, bacon's delicious, but I don't know that we need to be bacon crazy. So, but yeah, we saw the purpose in how important protein was in our diet, and there, of course, unless you're a vegan or a vegetarian, where you would focus again on high quality proteins. So, really, when we look at all of the macronutrients and we look at how these diets differ, it's all about balance. It's about balancing your carbs, your fats, and your proteins and not avoiding them. Diets change by changing the time that you eat, the amount that you eat, and the ratio of your macronutrients. I really want to offer a quick example of two diets that you might be familiar with. We have the Paleo diet, which a lot of people have done successfully, and we have a vegan diet, which also a lot of people have done successfully. Very different diets, but they follow the same idea with macronutrients. Okay, the Paleo diet is made up of foods eaten by cavemen, or we go back to that time where cavemen were eating. What would they eat? If they would eat it, great. That's what's on the Paleo diet. Paleo also emphasizes no carbs except for non-starchy vegetables and fruit. And it also emphasizes lots of high-quality fats and proteins, recommended animal proteins over plant proteins. And that's Paleo. On the other hand, we have a vegan diet. People who choose to live in vegan lifestyle don't eat foods from animal sources. They also, which includes honey or cheese or any butter or anything like that, and also no animal protein, so actual, beef or pork or chicken or any of that. All carbs are encouraged in combination to provide that high quality protein that they choose not to eat from animal sources. They also emphasize, of course, high quality fats because we talked just previously about fats and why they're so important in our diet. But you can see the difference between a paleo and a vegan diet and how they have both included protein, how they have fats. Paleo tends to shy away from carbs, so a low number of carbs where vegan says a high number of carbs, but they're both included there. Really, what makes the perfect diet? My hint is it's not that plate. If somebody brought that to me, I don't know if I would cry or ask where the rest was. But if you look at that and you're looking for your macronutrients, you're not finding them. All right. We have some veggies, but we don't have any protein. We don't have any carbs really, other than maybe a tiny bit of carrot, tiny bit of tomato. So we're missing what we need. You're going to leave that plate starving, grouchy, and wanting a cheeseburger. That leads us to the question, why do diets fail? So if I ate what was on that plate, I would be restricting my total calories down way too low. We have something called a resting metabolic rate, and that resting metabolic rate is determined if you spend the day in bed watching Netflix and you don't get up, and you just lay there and breathe and function, how many calories does it take for you to be able to do that? So if we restrict below that number, we go into what I like to call caveman mode. In the center of your brain, there's a little tiny caveman, and he doesn't go away. He has one job, and that job is to keep you safe and alive. He protects you. And the way that he does that is when your calorie content goes below that resting metabolic rate, he starts throwing a fit and screaming and hoarding. All right? So when you get down there, he says, fine, if you're not going to eat enough calories, I'm going to store all the fat I can just in case so we don't die. And that is his job, is to keep you safe. And he will hang on to that fat. What he also does is he says, you know what, that fat, I'm gonna keep that, and I'm gonna cushion myself with it, and we'll burn some muscle. So what we do is we lose muscle more than we lose fat. We lose weight, but in the end, what happens is we've lost weight, but mostly we've lost muscle and not fat. So we've lost muscle. After we're done, the caveman says, whew, bring on the food. And we eat, and we eat, and we pack on more fat because our body is in a storage mode. The caveman's thrown us into safety zone, so we're storing up more fat. So the next time we go back on a diet, we gain more fat. So we're starting at a deficit. Another thing that makes diets fail is that if we think back, I have a 12-year-old boy and I have no idea where he puts all of his food. Because when we're 12 years old, we can eat a lot more than what we can eat when we are in our 20s and we go to college and we gain that freshman 15 or our 30s or our 40s or our 50s. So as our body changes, what we need changes. Our nutrients changes. Our calorie requirements change. So it might have worked for you last year, but your body may have changed and it may not work for you this year. So I have some good news. There are as many successful diets as there are people on the planet. What's healthy for one person might not be healthy for you, but what's healthy for you is exactly what you need. It's just a matter of figuring that out. What you need is out there, and once you listen to yourself, you've got it. You don't have to have somebody sell it to you from the grocery store. Your body is the best lab on the planet. It is wise, it runs on its own, it talks to you when it's hungry, and when it's full, and when it's craving something, or when it's changing. All you have to do is learn to listen to it. You've heard of the little boy that wants to eat dirt in the yard, and we say, oh, he just needs a mineral. Well, maybe that's true. And maybe when you're craving chocolate, it's because you need magnesium. Or maybe when your brain isn't working quite well, maybe it's because you need a carbohydrate. Or maybe when you just don't feel like you got the right thing for dinner, maybe you didn't eat enough fat. So it does work, and if you listen to it, it'll tell you what foods make you feel good and what foods make you feel happy and what foods do both but also make you feel healthy. So sometimes when we're craving that chocolate chip cookie, it's not that the cookie is what our body wants. Sometimes what it wants is something else that isn't food at all. And that's when we have to start listening to our body, listening into our intuition, and digging down deeper than food. And of course, it is absolutely okay to love food. I want you to have a good relationship with food because your relationship with your food impacts your body so much more than the food you eat. Knowing what foods are beneficial to you, what foods make your body function, enjoying them. I want you to sit down and enjoy your food. I want you to know, what does it smell like and taste like, and let's not do this running through our meals thing. Love your food, eat it, and, celebrate it. And also I want you to remember that every symptom that you have and every craving that you have or every behavior that you've created around food has a positive intention for your life. Okay? You might crave something that's not food, but it's expressed as a food craving. Or you may have a behavior that causes you to immediately grab a certain food. All of those things have a positive intention. And just to wrap things up, I really want to thank you guys for listening. This is the first time I've recorded myself talking this long. I have to tell you, it's a little bit nerve-wracking, but I'm glad I did it. So if you want more information on how you can create your perfect diet or how to take steps to get in control over your life, whether it's diet and exercise or job situations or managing house clutter or any of those things, I would love to talk with you one-on-one in a clarity session. There's no cost for a 1-hour session. It's just fun. You would go to my website. It's www.10,000, and that's all digits, swords.com. You can go in. I think it says a double your energy breakthrough session. Like I said, no cost, but we get together, we talk, we figure out what your goals are and how you can reach them. And I'd love to meet with you and talk with you about that. I'll have another session again at the beginning of February. Maybe the same thing, maybe something different. I like to change it up, and I hope you all will be able to join me then. So thanks for listening. Have a great one.
What was it for?